Good morning, reception, and welcome to your second video of the week looking at halving. So, our focus for the week is to learn and know how we can find halves of amounts and numbers. Before we start our learning today, we're just going to do some retrieval practice based on the last video that we've looked at. So, the sentence says half of blank is blank. So, we need to fill these blanks with numbers. So have a look at the stars on my screen. What number am I going to write in this first blank? 6, well done. Half of 6 is, so you now might need to work this out. So you need to make your two groups and to split the 6 stars equally. So you might want to draw a picture or you can work it out using your head. Half of 6 is 3. Well done. Brilliant. So our learning objective for the week is to be able to find and represent halves or halving. And we've looked at finding halves using manipulatives in the last video. Today we're going to begin looking at the second success criteria of representing halves of an amount, so the representation part. And then later on this week we're going to look at solving halving problems. So just to recap on the language and vocabulary that we should be using, halving is splitting an amount or number into two groups. So we say that special sentence, half of is. So we're looking at sharing, and remember it's the opposite of doubling. So instead of putting the two groups together, we are splitting one group into two. So half of 2 is 1. So if we look at this example again, I've got my 4 squares and I have to split them equally into the two groups. So one at the top, one at the bottom, another one at the top, and one at the bottom. So half of 4 is 2. Now remember, not all numbers can be halved equally, and hopefully in Monday's task you had a look and explored which numbers can be halved equally and which numbers can't. So if we look at this example of my 5 triangles, when we split them we get unequal groups, which means they don't have the same amount in each group, because my top group has 3 triangles and my bottom group only has 2. So today we're looking at representing halves. So we've looked at our part wholes before when we've done place value, and last week when we did our doubling. So with halving, it's the opposite of doubling. So we start off with this top circle with our whole amount, and we have got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 circles. And then just like we've done, we've made 2 groups at the bottom, so our parts, one part and our second part, and we've moved the circles equally into each group. So in this group I've got 3, and in this group I've got 3. So half of 6 is 3. If we look at this example together, what have I got in this top circle? What is my whole amount or whole number? 4, well done. So we're doing half of 4. Now I'm going to draw it down in the circles for you, and to help you, what you can do is you can cross off each time you've drawn one so that you can remember which ones you have done. And that one in there. And then I need to count how many I've got in each group. So in this group I've got 1, 2, and in this group I've got 1, 2. So half of 4 is 2. For this example, I would like you to pause the video and have a go at working out what our sentence is going to be. So half of is. Okay, so make sure you pause this video and have a go. So hopefully you've worked out what the answer is. Could you please tell me your sentence out loud? Half of is. Well done. Let's work it out together then. So in my top circle, in my whole part, I have got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I am halving 8. And then remember to help as I can cross them off as I draw them into their equal groups. That one in there. There we go. And then I need to count how many I've got in each group. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. And in this group I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. So half of 8 is 4. Well done, fantastic work. Now, when we're looking at halving, we can also use addition calculations, just like we did on the last day with our doubling. But when we do doubling, we are doing 2 add 2 equals 4 because we've got our two groups and we're making it into one group. But when we're doing halving, we have to flip that around. And we haven't seen this before, so it could get a bit confusing. So with our halving, just like with our part whole, we start with the whole number, which is the number 4, which means we have to put our equals next. So 4 equals 2 add 2. Because remember with our part whole, I'll just draw it next to it, we had our whole and then we split it into two groups. So in other words, the addition calculation is saying 4 is made up of 2 and another group of 2. Okay? So if we look at our example with our 4 squares, and when we move them into the groups equally, our addition calculation here at the bottom would be 4 equals 2 add the second group of 2. And if we look at the addition calculation for our part whole, we'd start with this number at the top, so our 6, and it equals these two bottom groups, so 3 add 3. So your tasks for this video, so Wednesday, which is our first task, you should be completing the part wholes on the sheet to represent half of an amount. So remember drawing in your shapes to show the two parts. Then the next task on Thursday is again to use your real life objects, so those manipulatives, to make half of an amount and then have a go at writing addition calculations to match. So you might collect 8 items and split them into two groups and then write the addition calculation 8 equals 4 add 4. And again, I've included our vocabulary box at the top here so that if you need to come back to the video, you can quickly see what kind of words you should be saying whilst doing your work. So two groups, half of is, sharing and equal. So let's just reflect on this next part of our learning. So we're looking at finding and representing halving or halves, and we've already looked at finding halves using manipulatives. And in this video and with your tasks, you're ticking off this second success criteria of representing halves of an amount. And in the next video, we'll come back and have a look at solving halving problems.